So you've lost your ability to speak to other humans, or maybe you never even had it in the first place. You've looked up every video possible on the topic, using search terms like how to talk to your crush, how to be more interesting, how to stop shaking and stuttering so much whenever an attractive person gives me any sort of attention, and you've gone through them all. You've exhausted your brain with a mind-numbing amount of information, but regardless, you're ready to put it into practice. You've got the opportunity to be in a social situation, and you're feeling pretty good. You dressed yourself nicely, put yourself in the right frame of mind, and wore your favorite cologne. So you decide to give your newfound knowledge a shot. And the same thing that always happens, happens. You choke, mess up, and don't know what to say. But why? If you've learned so much on developing your social skills further, how can you still be so bad at talking to people? Well, that's because there's a certain mindset that you must adopt before you go into any interaction. To explain this mindset, let me take you back to a time where everything clicked for me and I realized what I had to do to almost never have social anxiety again. Last month, I shot a music video for my friend's rap group called 𝙬𝙬𝙖𝙧, and I've talked about them, and I've actually used their music in previous videos. One of the scenes in the music video required a classroom, and we managed to find a local place where you could rent out the space on an hourly basis. So the day of the shoot rolls around, and I end up getting to the building first. I walk up to the front door, and it's locked, so I give the owner of the building a call. He says he's running late, and he will be there in about 15 minutes, so I decide to just wait outside on the steps of the building. During that time, the next person that ended up showing up to the shoot was a girl I had never met who was invited to play a part as an extra in the video. Looking from the outside in, it seems like this would be a pretty awkward situation. I had to keep a good conversation flowing so he wouldn't just be sitting awkwardly in silence for 15 minutes. So she walks up to the door and I introduce myself and she introduces herself back. We ended up chatting a bit about the music video and I got to know her a little better. The conversation ended up going really well and I felt much more confident than when I usually get into situations like this. And the reason for this happening did not hit me until later when we were shooting the actual video. As I started directing the music video, I felt very in control of the people and environment of the set. It was one of the first times where I was leading and instructing that many people at once in real life. It felt really empowering, and that's when I figured it out. The reason that social interaction with the girl before the video shoot felt so natural and easy was because I felt in control of myself and the environment. I felt like I had authority over others and I was a leader to some degree. I occupied a position of respect and I knew I did even before we started filming, which is why I was able to feel this way during my social interaction before the video. So I thought to myself, if I can convince myself that I have some sort of confidence and authority in any social interaction that I'm in, even if I don't actually have either of those, then I will rarely get social anxiety, if ever. But that is a very difficult question to answer and a very difficult thing to put into practice. If somebody is not already confident or in a position of power and respect, how do they train their brain to feel as though they already are? Well, when it comes to eradicating social anxiety and being someone like that, I found that the people who are best at encapsulating this sort of aura about themselves aren't even necessarily the best conversators, but rather that they all share these three mindset traits. They have a complete lack of a fear of rejection, they're not afraid to say something stupid, and they are able to level the playing field with anybody they talk to, no matter who the person is. In simpler terms, these people just do not give a fuck about what happens in the conversation and they act accordingly. So let's go through these and explain some of the ways in which you can develop these further within yourself, even if you're not about to be a director of a music video. A fear of rejection is probably something I could make an entire video on, but I'll try to summarize here what I've learned based on my experience with it. In my experience, rejection will only affect you if you associate rejection with a lack of wholeness within yourself. When it comes to dating and women, I've gotten rejected many more times than I've gotten accepted. And for a long time, every time I got rejected or fucked up a conversation, it would bring down my self-worth a notch. So on streaks where I'd just gotten rejected or messed up back to back to back, I felt like I was in a hole of regret and distaste towards myself that was impossible to climb out of. What was required of me was to prime myself to have a different reaction to rejection. Instead of telling myself, there it is again, I got rejected, I knew I wasn't good enough to talk to this person, I see this as an opportunity to get better and almost joke around about it with myself. Now after rejection, I'll say things things like, well, I guess I might have fucked up and did something wrong, so I'll think about what I did and try to figure out how to improve, or this person and I just didn't have much in common and the conversation wouldn't go anywhere anyways. It's important to note here that when you do this, you don't want to overanalyze to the point where you convince yourself that you did something that you didn't actually do. And it's also important to laugh with yourself about this rejection, kind of treat it as a joke. Now when I get rejected, the type of thoughts that I have in my mind are like, oh shit, well, just took another L? Oh well, whatever. Just like this completely nonchalant attitude towards it. So what did we do here? Instead of approaching somebody or some group of people nervous about getting rejected and viewing that as a failure if it happens, you actively encouraged a conversation where you could possibly get rejected so you can learn from it and so you can find out more about the types of people you do get along with and have good conversations with. With that sort of mindset, rejection turns into a positive thing and almost a fun thing, to be honest, and you no longer see it as a cause for not being good enough. The next trait to develop is the ability to not be afraid to say something stupid. This is another thing that stops so many people from putting themselves out there more because they just don't know what to say, and if they do say something, they think it'll be complete nonsense. Well, I hate to break it to you, but in order to start saying the right things and more interesting things in conversation, you first have to start by saying stupid things, because that is how you learn. For the sake of this video, I decided I would re-download Tinder to look back at my old opening pickup lines and conversations from a few years back. Just kidding, it's on my phone already. And they were extremely cringe. When I look at the things that I used to say to try to get a woman interested in me, all I can think of is, what the hell was I thinking? But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I even shot my shot like this, because had I not said so many stupid things in the past, I would not know how to say the right things, at least sometimes, right now. Not caring about saying something stupid is an act of spontaneity and speaking without hesitation. Instead of thinking about the next thing you should say, just say the first thing that comes to your mind, so long as it is appropriate. Obviously, there are some things you can think of spontaneously that should absolutely not be said out loud and would be really creepy, and I'm not responsible for you going to jail. But what I am saying is stop thinking so much about what you're about to say and focus more on your present reactions and feelings. Saying things without hesitation is an act of becoming more present-minded. Because when you're fully immersed in the moment, when you're focused on what the other person is saying and not what you're going to say or how you're standing or if your hair looks all right, when you're really just there, words will flow out of you naturally. Allow yourself to fuck up because, again, this is an opportunity for you to improve your social skills. And it shows people that you don't give a crap if they like you or not, and you're secure about yourself, and that's a very enticing trait that people admire. Lastly, you must learn how to put yourself on the same mental playing field with whoever you are talking to. This was something that took quite a bit longer to develop than the other two because it's really hard to picture yourself as equal to whoever you're talking to, especially if your self-confidence is low. Obviously, taking care of yourself through working on yourself daily can make you feel like you're on the same level as most people, but if you aren't there yet, you have to start to develop an ability to pick up on the type of energy that the person or people you're talking to is carrying. It doesn't mean you try to fit in by being someone you're not based on who you're around. It means standing your ground no matter who you're up against. When I visited Harvard, some of the students I came into contact with were a little more pretentious than others. And specifically, there was this one girl where I could just feel that she thought she was above me. Before I started asking her questions, she asked me if I went to Harvard, and I jokingly said that Harvard was my alma mater or the school that I graduated from, and I eventually told her where I actually graduated from. And I could tell that immediately when I said that, she saw me as below her. As I started asking her the questions, she gave me very short answers. I felt that she was trying to intimidate me a little bit, but I didn't give in. Instead, I matched her energy and kind of gave her the same type of attitude of someone who thinks that they're in a higher place of power would give. Because I thought to myself, what makes this person higher up than me, or any person for that matter? If you think that somebody else is on a higher level than you, or they believe that they are on a higher level than you, it's usually based on society-made concepts that can be broken down easily through the correct mental frame. If you understand that every person you are talking to has just as many flaws as you and doesn't have things figured out like you think they do, and they are instead just good at presenting themselves as having things figured out, then you can view practically anybody as equal to you. So I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I've met Harvard students and many other famous content creators. Basically people that others look up to or see as above them. And I can tell you with certainty that nobody, not them, not Elon Musk, not Jeff Bezos, and especially not me, has any idea what the fuck is going on in the world. Everybody's just trying to figure it out as much as you are, and if you truly believe that, then nobody's authority tactics will work over you. The most important thing to all of this, and what makes all of this easier, is just putting yourself out there more and putting yourself out there consistently, talking to more people, while simultaneously working on yourself to build up your confidence. And these are things that improve over time, and with age, the more that you have different real life experiences. Thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. If you don't know what this is, it's a platform separate from YouTube where I'm putting out exclusive videos and podcasts, and you can also talk to me one-on-one there over the phone. If you want to check that out, the link is in the description, patreon.com/Cole Hastings. Thank you very much for watching till the end. I love you guys. Like I said, I hope this helped, and see you all in the next video.